Greetings, 2E0PGS. This is an intro to Digital Addressable Lighting Interface, DALI. It's basically a bus system for controlling networks of lights. So it mainly consists of three different components. You've got a DALI power supply that powers the bus. It's a 2-wire bus. It's basically a positive and negative 16 volts. So you've got a DALI power supply that powers a whole bus. You've got sort of devices that send data, so light switches or color wheels, and you've got devices that receive the data and handle controlling or driving the actual output light. So it's three main components you need. The actual interface here handles receiving that bus data and driving the output lights, whether that be a LED strip like it is in my demo case here, or that might be a GU10, which is mains voltage, and they've got a different interface driver here that takes in the 16 volts, also takes in the mains and drives these. So in my case I've got this, which takes in the DALI, and it also takes in a 12 volts supply for the LED strips. So I'll show you my demo setup here. I've got a simple dimming wheel here. It's not a color wheel, it's just dimming wheel. That's on the 2-wire DALI protocol there. I've got the interface controller. Now the naming of this stuff is a little bit confusing. They call various different things controllers. It's a bit confusing, to be honest, but once you get your head wrapped around, you can kind of ignore the name controller. So anyway, I've got what I would call the driver, which makes more sense in my opinion. So this takes the DALI signal input, takes in a 12 volts and drives these lights here. So when I turn this is sending DALI data. This interface is receiving that DALI data and driving these lights off of 12 volts. Okay. So the DALI bus has devices just in parallel. If you've got a lot of different lights, you just put them all in parallel on the bus, and they can all be addressed individually. I've got this set to broadcast address, which I'll show you in a minute. So this is just addressing any driver on the network, on the bus, on the 2-wire bus. So that's my sending device, that's my receiving device, and the bus power, I'll show you my bus power supply. So I've got a piece of cable here. These 2 wires are my bus power supply. That's going into this receiving device, and paralleled off that is my sending device. So there's my bus power. That's the blue and white on this cable here. That's the DALI bus power. So that runs down here. That runs into my dim rail enclosure, and I've got a DALI power supply. The DALI power supply must be current limiting, because the way the bus operates, devices pull down the bus below a certain threshold to register 1 or 0. So they actually modulate the bus by pulling the bus down, bringing the voltage down of the bus to send data. So that's your DALI power supply. It's got DALI 1 and DALI 2. Again, a little bit of confusion here. Sometimes stuff's referred to as DALI 1, DALI 2. Sometimes it's referred to as DALI plus, DALI minus, and sometimes it's referred to as DA and DA. Then another time it might be DA1, DA2. So it's a bit annoying, the naming. But this is a DALI bus power supply, and it just outputs your plus and minus basically of your DALI bus. What I've also got here is a 12 volt power supply, and that's going to my interface. This is totally irrelevant at the bus. This is just going to my output interface so I can drive those 12 volt LED strips. So that also comes up this cable here on a separate pair. So we got the DALI bus supply going in here, and then I've got the 12 volt just going into this interface so it can drive these lights here. So you can drive these LED lights. So a bit like in the diagram here, I've got 12 volt supply coming in just for these lights, for this interface to control these lights, and then it also takes in the DALI supply. Okay, so I'll just show you the back of this dimming box. So as you can see, this says DA. Hopefully I can get this thing to focus. Probably not, but you can adjust the addressing by moving those 2 set points on the right, and it's not going to focus on that for me, is it? No chance in a million years, eh? Doesn't want to focus on that, it's too busy focusing on the back box. But I've got mine set to a broadcast address, so it'll just address anything on the network. It tells you what the broadcast address is, what the set points are to do that. And that's basically an intro to DALI. So hopefully that's helpful to some of you. That's an interesting lighting network. It certainly has potential in my opinion. It's a good bit of kit. Some of the streetlights are now going DALI. The other stuff is 0 to 10 volt dimming previously, stuff like that, but it's nowhere near as you can't do anywhere near as much complex stuff with it. And then the other stuff you got is DMX lighting, but this is the way stuff's going for the digital addressable lighting. And some of the joint names are using it, like Philips, etc., for their streetlights for network lighting. Okay, thanks for checking this video out. Cheers.